Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 114, Enter the Dragonite. The episode begins continuing right off from last episode's cliffhanger as the dust of the explosion clears, revealing that both Lapras and Gengar had fainted. So, the referee declares that they were both unable to battle, and Ash and Drake recall them into their respective Pokeballs, with Ash thanking Lapras for giving it its all, and Drake doing the same for his Gengar. Drake realizes that half of his team was now down, as the referee declares that this meant that it was now time for the battlefield to change. So, the rocky battlefield with a pool then disappeared, forcing Ash and the gang and Drake to have to retire to the stands, where they did some last-minute preparations, with Ash doing some stretching, along with Pikachu, and Drake staring at the Dragonite statue to give him some motivation. As Team Rocket looks at Drake looking at the Dragonite statue, it reminds them of their plan to steal the Dragonite once it's been weakened enough. They just had to wait for Drake to actually send it the fuck out. Unfortunately for them, though, when the stadium changed to reveal a new one, being a desert field, Drake didn't send out his Dragonite, but rather his Venusaur, and Ash decided to send his Tauros back in. Ash starts off the battle by using Fissure, but it doesn't do much, as the Earthquake is rendered useless in all the sand, which absorbs it. Drake then tells Venusaur to use Solar Beam, and Ash tries to intercept it before it can get launched by using a takedown, but Tauros ends up getting caught in the sand, so Ash orders him to stop moving forward and use his horns to throw Venusaur into the air instead. While in the air, though, Venusaur manages to flip itself over onto its backside, which points the Solar Beam straight at Tauros as it launches down, hitting him hard. However, this Solar Beam actually ends up benefiting Tauros, as it pushes Tauros out of the sand, allowing it to use a takedown without getting stuck. However, the takedown is intercepted by Venusaur using Vine Whip. Venusaur then follows up with multiple other Vine Whips, severely damaging Tauros, but thankfully, Tauros is able to break through the Vine Whips due to its anger and take down the Venusaur, literally knocking it out, and forcing Drake to recall it. Drake then sends out his next Pokemon, Electabuzz, with Ash deciding to substitute out Tauros for Bulbasaur, as Tauros was severely injured not only due to this battle, but due to its previous battle with the Gengar. Electabuzz starts off with a Thunder Shock, but due to Bulbasaur being a Grass type, he's able to pretty much just absorb the attack, and then fire off a Razor Leaf. Most of the Razor Leafs hit, but a lot of the later ones are absorbed by another Thunderbolt by Electabuzz, and Drake then orders Electabuzz to use a Thunder Punch. Bulbasaur tries to block the punch by tackling, and although it's able to get off its tackle attack, the Thunder Punch was too overwhelming, and it managed to knock Bulbasaur out, giving Ash his first genuine L of the battle, if you didn't count the tie between Lapras and Gengar. Ash then sends out his Charizard as his next Pokemon, which surprises the referee, who states that this had so far been Ash's only fully evolved Pokemon. I guess not counting Tauros because he was only one stage. Electabuzz immediately goes in for a Thunder Punch and Thunder Attack, absolutely decimating Charizard, but thankfully, he's able to counter with a Fire Spin attack, as he roars in anger at the fact that the Electabuzz truly thought he could beat him. Electabuzz then goes in for yet another Thunder attack, but Charizard is able to swoop in and dodge, and then grab the Electabuzz and perform Seismic Toss to throw him to the ground at full speed, knocking him out and giving Charizard the win. Drake was impressed with Ash's skill. There hadn't been a trainer in a long time that had been able to make Drake lose 5 of his Pokemon. However, he stated that that was because he always used his legendary Dragonite. Okay, not actually legendary. First things first, so Dragonite would wipe out all the other Pokemon before his Pokemon had the chance to come out, but he had saved his ultimate Pokemon for last this time, as he then grabbed the Pokeball around his neck and threw it out, releasing Dragonite. The battle between Dragonite and Charizard instantly began, with Charizard firing a flamethrower, but Dragonite easily countering with a water gun, which blew back the flamethrower and hit Charizard square in the chest. Dragonite then tries to follow up with an Ice Beam, but Charizard dodges by flying up into the air, leading the Dragonite to follow and attempt to hit him with Ice Beam again, and this time he does, hitting Charizard in the wing and sending him falling down. Thankfully though, Charizard is able to rebound, as he turns his fall into a spin to avoid any other incoming Ice Beam attacks. Charizard tries to go in for a flamethrower when he does this, but realizing this doesn't work, he attempts to grab onto Dragonite in the air and perform another Seismic Toss, but before he can do this, Dragonite dodges and turns the move around by actually being the one to grab Charizard instead, and proceeds to use Slam to throw him onto the ground, severely injuring him, much to Ash and the gang's panic. However, Charizard is thankfully able to get back on its feet. Ash knew that Charizard could faint at any moment though, so he thought now was the right time to have Charizard call in its most powerful and newest attack, Dragon Rage. However, Dragonite knew Dragon Rage as well, so Drake had to use it, and it resulted in both Dragon Rages colliding in a huge explosion. When the dust cleared, Dragonite and Charizard were both left standing, and they had a standoff, but unfortunately, Charizard fell, losing the battle. Team Rocket was actually more mad at this than Meowth, as they wanted Dragonite to get close to going down so they could capture it, but Ash, on the other hand, simply congratulated Charizard for managing to do as much damage to Dragonite as it did, so now he could just use the rest of his Pokemon to slowly chip down the rest of Dragonite's health. He then recalled Charizard and sent out Squirtle once again. Squirtle starts off the battle with its most powerful water attack, Hydro Pump. However, it's still countered by Dragonite's near Water Gun, which sends Squirtle flying to the ground. With Squirtle caught off guard, Dragonite tries to take the opportunity to use a Thunderbolt on it, but thankfully Squirtle is able to withdraw into its shell to protect itself from most of the damage. Squirtle then comes out of its shell as Drake commands Dragonite to fly up and use a Body Slam, but while Dragonite is up in the air, Squirtle takes the opportunity to hit it with a Bubble Attack, which actually manages to hit it and causes Dragonite to fall to the ground, but when it does, its huge-ass tail lands on Squirtle, sending him flying back and knocking him out. Ash still wasn't really panicking though, as he noticed that Dragonite was really beginning to lose energy. Unfortunately for him though, Team Rocket noticed this as well, and determined that that meant that it was time for them to try their plan to capture it. So, they got in their Meowth balloon, much to James's dismay, who just wanted to continue watching the battle at this point, and proceeded to say their motto, explaining to the crowd how they intended to capture Dragonite as they trapped him in a net. They then taunt Ash, trying to get him in trouble by stating that he had helped them with their plan since he had weakened the Dragonite, but Drake knew that Ash didn't intend to help them, and simply just got mad at Team Rocket, ordering his Dragonite to do the best he could to break out of the net, and Dragonite, being as strong as he was able to break out of the net no problem, and use Skull Bash to pop Team Rocket's balloon and send them blasting off. Damn, that was quick. At least we can get back to the battle now. Ash immediately sent out his Tauros as his next Pokemon. Ash has Tauros try to use Takedown, but due to being slowed down a bit by the sand, Dragonite is able to take off into the air first, and is about to land a Body Slam. However, Ash comes up with an idea, and has Tauros take the Body Slam head-on as Dragonite crashes into it, with immense speed due to using agility at the same time. However, this does nothing to Tauros, just as Ash suspected, as the sand on the battlefield was able to absorb the impact with Tauros digging into it, and Tauros was then able to get the Dragonite onto its horns. Tauros then angrily throws Dragonite off of its horns, slamming it into the ground, but Dragonite is able to quickly get up and finish Tauros off with a Thunderbolt attack, forcing Ash to recall it and send out his final remaining Pokemon, Pikachu. He was beginning to get a little more stressed now, but he had faith. Pikachu starts off by charging towards Dragonite with agility. However, this speedy attack backfires on him, as Dragonite uses Pikachu's momentum to help him hit it with its tail, which sends Pikachu flying. Dragonite then charges up a Hyper Beam to use while Pikachu was still in the air. However, Pikachu manages to land on the ground and bounce off of its tail, thereby shooting into the air just high enough to narrowly miss the Hyper Beam, and then Pikachu uses the rest of his momentum to jump up to Dragonite's head. Dragonite is initially unable to move due to the recoil damage it took from Hyper Beam, but once it's able to move, it starts violently shaking and even burying its head down into the ground in an attempt to get Pikachu to escape it. However, Pikachu tries his best to hang on to his head and manages to get off a Thunderbolt while still hanging on, which shocks Dragonite's entire body. Pikachu then jumps off, unable to hold on to Dragonite's antenna any longer, and then the two Pokemon go into a stare down, much like Dragonite and Charizard did. However, unlike last time, Dragonite is the one to lose this stare down, as it falls to the ground, knocked out, giving Ash the official win, which the referee declares. Misty is shocked as fuck, but Tracy, and Ash for that matter, are just extremely happy, as Ash comforts Pikachu, and Drake recalls his Dragonite, shocked that it had actually been defeated by somebody. The crowd absolutely erupted into cheers at the fact that Drake had actually been defeated by someone for once, meaning that they actually got an exciting battle, and Drake congratulated Ash as well, as he walked up to the podium to get the Orange League trophy. Drake said that he was truly amazed with Ash's skill, as his Dragonite had never been defeated before, and Ash showed the trophy to all his Pokemon, in which they all reacted in amazement. Charizard let out a victory roar, Squirtle and Bulbasaur smiled happily, and Pikachu exclaimed, "Pika!" Ash had really done it. He had won a league. Although this technically didn't count as a major league, because there was only 4 badges as opposed to 8, and there was only 1 round in the whole league, but hey, it was something. The Hall of Fame induction process then begins, as statues are made of all of Ash's Pokemon who participated in the battle, and placed in the Hall of Fame. Ash and his Pokemon then all give their hand and footprints, and it's put onto a plaque on display next to a picture of Ash and all of his Pokemon. The episode ends with Ash holding up his trophy in joy, and wishing that Brock was here to see his victory. Are we gonna see Brock again finally? I guess we'll find out next episode. All I know is that Ash finally won. Let's go!